Hello, everyone. Greetings of the day. Welcome to the 26th edition of the Educational Leadership Forum focused on transforming education for human and planetary flourishing. Thank you so much for taking the time today to attend this workshop session, which was supposed to be featuring Ms. Abhilasha Singh. Unfortunately, we would not be able to have her here today, given that she has a personal emergency that she's taking care of. So we are looking forward to her session. In the future, we would have a special session with her. In the meantime, I will be leading the session for today. So let me share my screen with you, and we'll have an interactive session today. So here we go. Please let me know if my screen is visible to you. All right, so let's get started. In today's session, there are 3 to 4 things that we would focus on. We would understand the current state of educators' mental well-being globally. We will identify key factors that affect educators' mental well-being. We'll explore strategies with you to improve mental well-being in educational settings, and we will develop actionable plans to support educators' mental well-being. So let's start with the icebreaker. So in one sentence, can you describe what comes to your mind when you hear the phrase mental well-being of educators? So you can use the chat section here if you are in the live event space. And if you're joining us online from other platforms, use the chat, the comment section. So in one sentence or in one word, if you can share what comes to your mind when you hear the word mental well-being of educators. So let's take a moment and try getting your responses. Thirty more seconds before we move forward. So please feel free to use the chat section. All right, balanced work environment, work-life balance, mental health. So we'll delve a bit deeper into that as we move forward. Now, we would have a poll question on how adequately do you think mental well-being is addressed in the education sector? So you have 4 options. You can use the poll out here, which will be displayed on your screen. And we have Elsa Becker, who says teachers who can cope with stress and also be able to navigate new challenges. this should also include the ability to recognize stress. Thank you for that one, Elsa. So quickly, if we can have the results. So 10 more seconds, we would wait. Just use the option to share what you think. How adequate do you think mental well-being support is in the space, in the education space? All right, so I'm just going to close the poll for now. And as you can see, you would have the responses here. So at least 50% of the folks out here feel that it is inadequate. So as you can see, the results out here. But it's also heartwarming to see that 30% feel it's somewhat adequate. We'll dig deeper as we get into the session. Now, coming to the state of mental well-being of educators, this is like preaching to the choir. So telling you this is just reiterating what you might already know. So if you take, for example, the Teacher Wellbeing Index of the 2020, which was conducted in 2023, you see that there's 78% of all staff in the UK in education sector feel that they are stressed. There is an increase of 3% since 2022. So the highest folks who get affected are the primary school staff, with an 86% of folks reporting that reporting a decline in their overall well-being. If you see Europe as a whole, almost 50% of the lower secondary school teachers experience stress at work, and this is a cause of concern. You have similar figures in countries like, say, for example, India. You have 36 to 44% of secondary school teachers have moderate level of stress, and this was before the pandemic. So post-pandemic, as you can see with a lot of research that has taken place, we can see that they are increased levels. So we are also assuming in this case that even in India's context, there might be an increase. With South Africa, 25% of the teachers report experiencing stress at a higher degree as per what do you call the survey, and this is above the OECD average of 18%. So let's break down the key factors that affect mental well-being of educators. So before we look at mental well-being of educators as a whole, to have a simple definition of it would be teachers' responses to cognitive, emotional, health, social conditions pertaining to their work and their profession. So this is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at mental well-being, as Dr. Pandey had earlier shared, is one's inability to realize the intended or desired outcomes or results. So that is also one of the key contributors to what do you call the mental well-being of an individual. So some of the factors that affect educators are a lot of teachers that we also spoke to and end up saying that they have increased administrative paperwork, they have issues with, say, curriculum overload, or you might have heard covering the syllabus as a phrase that teachers use to let us know how much of a difficult situation that they are in. So another thing could be lack of influence in decision making, inadequate salaries. We see a lot of educators worldwide who are not paid adequately. You have teachers who are on food stamps, teachers who are doing multiple jobs to maintain bare minimum, what do you call, bare minimums of their life. So all of these things affect the well-being of, say, educators. Now, the impacts is not just on student well-being, but it's also on student learning outcomes. Because ultimately, if say teachers' mental well-being is affected, they would not be able to fully leverage their own skill set to teach more effectively and connect with the students more meaningfully. So during COVID-19, as you could see, like there was a lot of added pressure that educators had to go through. So literally, you could see teachers being in the prying eyes of more people than would otherwise, classrooms not being safe spaces. So we've seen a lot of issues around the COVID time, and also post COVID, because like sudden shifts again. So these are some of the key factors. If you see workload and administrative duties, sometimes it's academic pressure, student behavior, pressure from parents. So you have a lot of these challenges. Now, one of the things that we would do is we'll get into small groups of folks and discuss what we can do together to, one, identify some of these key well-being challenges that educators face, and then come up with some possible solutions to it, right? So I would request the organizing team if we can have a breakout session. So here are simple instructions. So one, identify a specific mental well-being challenge that you think educators face, and then propose an activity or an intervention to address this particular challenge. Now, the interesting part here is for you to outline what are the outcomes you're expecting and what would success mean to you in this context. So, one member from your group can come into the main section after 15 minutes and can share what they discuss. So, if we can have small groups of folks being put into the breakout. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Really appreciate your presence here now. So, can we have somebody from the first group raise your hand and maybe take the virtual mic? Can we have somebody from the first group?
Sir, one question is group.
Yes.
Uh, uh, Nowadays, the process of learning education is consist of three main parts. First is learners, teachers, curriculum, institution. Sir, the question arises that the students start their education from primary to PhD, master degree, but there are so many questions on their qualification, education. They can't speak in English properly. They can't write an application or a letter in very good English or very other language. So why is it this that? This is because due to some ill planning of curriculum. Curriculum is planned by the teachers, by the educationists, by the higher education department, by the tax board is Pakistan. But when a teacher start to complete the curriculum, he is not in this position to finish that curriculum in a year, in a one semester, and he tried to hurriedly complete it without any preparation, without any planning. So, perhaps this is the reason how we cannot create the planned and qualified learners. What is the answer? How can we make it? in
Okay.
good manner.
So what was the so I understand that the question the challenge that you had was curriculum overload. That is what you identified. So what were the strategies that your team came up with? So that is the second question. Like, what is the proposed activity to counter uh, this effect? And the third thing was like, what were the outcomes and measurement of success according to your discussion?
Yes, 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 sir. These are the questions. Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's have Miss Jyoti Kiran join in. So I think they can share what were the challenges that they identified and what are the interventions and how did they look at success
Yes,
of the.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Arin, for giving me this opportunity, and of course, the group two members as well. So, yeah, I'll be representing these five members that include Annie, Moradek, Samantha, Glory, and me, Jyoti Kiran. All right. So, we came up with two major problems or issues that we all have been dealing with as educators. The first one being the path of communication and instructions in any organization or institution that we work at should be quite clear, and this path should be straight. It shouldn't have many levels that you need to go to this person, that person for a small little thing. So that is the thing, that's a problem. Then it comes to the solution. Of course, the solution comes from this institution or schools as well, and it could also come from the highest authorities, that is having laws that I've been speaking about since the beginning of this webinar. I mean, since we started at the first webinar, I think so it was scheduled on 5th of July or so. um, Okay, going ahead. So the solutions could also come from having basic laws, very basic laws to safeguard teachers, making them feel safe and secure. The second problem that we discussed was job security. So having job security is also one of the issues that teachers are facing. Many of the job and careers that we go into have job security issues, but being a teacher, we also invest our emotionally, to some extent at least, no matter which age group or grade we are catering to. And it is very difficult sometimes to give you 100%, and sometimes you need to give more than your 100% in different scenarios, of course. So job security is one of the factors. So having laws, strict laws that need to be applied by these organizations, be it private organization or government organization, at least at the basic level, will give us reassurance and that mental peace that we have been trying to talk about, that we need as teachers, that okay, you're taking care of others kids, somebody is taking care of you. It's not just about the salary or this or that, as it is the packages are not always great depending on the school you work at, institution that is, but still, it having the job security. So that is one of the things, the problem with the solution, of course. The other solutions that could also help, basic solutions are having counseling for teachers. The school has a counselor for students, the same counselor could cater to a different one, can be allotted for teachers as well, to at least share their basic problems that they are facing in the work environment, professional ones. And the other solution that was suggested by Samantha and Moradek was having regular teacher programs for teachers to upgrade them with the changing students. I hope I'm not taking much of the time, I'll just take a minute more. Yes. So with the evolving students, the time has changed. When we were students, and the education system was different, but we are going ahead with the same system, the same strategies. This technology and AI, this that has come in, but the strategies are the same, the expectations are different, the student that we cater to are different. So why not and when we accept the technology, why not teach us change our teaching strategies, sorry. And these teaching strategies can be given by the school, provided by the school by giving us workshop opportunities to participate in workshops, participate in different seminars, being online or offline, taking us for different trips where we can learn all this, sponsored by that institution itself, which will indirectly and directly help that institution evolve and grow further. So yes, those are pointers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think there was a very interesting thing that you shared out there. It's like a punchline. Um, you are using the same strategies and you're expecting different results. So, uh,
Exactly. Very well spotted there, Aryan. There's a
yeah,
phrase also, a very famous phrase. I don't know the origin of this phrase, but the phrase says, if you keep doing the same thing, you can't
yeah.
expect different, solutions or end results. So you're right. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Absolutely. It's like old, what do you call, wine in a new package, but just that it's no wine. So, anyway, we have Elsa joining us and representing her group. So here we go. Good to have you back, Elsa.
I'm back. um, okay, so I have people in my group, Mayal, Evans, Kavita, Asiala. I just want to see because two more people joined us a bit later. Okay, so we spoke about there is no work-life balance for teachers because they are overburdened. And extra work that is blindly just given to them. Teachers need to deal with students' problems with no outlet to deal with the trauma. There is too many teachers in the system that is not committed to education. And this came from a student that was in my group. Parents put huge stress on teachers with no responsibility for the student. Now, our proposed activity and solutions is that we should make sure that when teachers are recruited, that they have a passion for education. It's not about what is your degree, it's about what passion you have. Activate inclusive participation for parents with the child's future in mind. And then you won't get these angry mothers wanting grades for children that do not work. Use peer education. I do this a lot in my class. This helps with understanding, and it also takes a lot of stress off the teacher. And then one of the things that we really had a deeper discussion in, and something that I think maybe you as a for your foundation could help, is curriculum teaching in 21st century education. In my panel, we have discussed that this is a shortcoming because there's teachers that need to teach in this new way of thinking, but maybe don't have the tools in their little toolbox to adequately do so. It is new, it is strange, and it did start in COVID. However, if we really look at 21st education, we can see that it really helps the child to take what they are learning into the real life, and they are the problem solvers. In this way of teaching, the teacher only have a minimal responsibility for the education in the class. It bounced back to the child. And now you don't have this child in the class that's just a little sponge that must listen and listen and listen and listen. Okay, goodbye, guys. They are actively busy. And when they're actively busy, they are thinking. When they are thinking, they don't have time to do all the other things that's disruptive. So I think the one thing that in our panel that we have really discussed is 21st century education. And I want to say thank you to my panel because we also said, how are we going to implement this? And we can do this through workshops. And everyone that is in this group right now can actually become a 21st century activist. You don't need to wait for someone. You do it. Go read up, go find ways. I have been teaching 21st century skills since 2021. And when we do that, we will find that you have mentor educators that's helping you to just get your flow, because it's not about what another person is saying you should do in your class. It's how can you adapt to your children to give them the best opportunities to go forward. So I think that's something that you can really look at in the future, because there is a little bit of a brain drain there. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa, for representing your team. So we have one more person, Ms. Paradunisa, who is the Vice Principal of International Indian School in Jeddah. So
Yes.
the floor is yours.
So, hello everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So, first of all, let me thank you all for giving me an opportunity to share my experiences and the discussion that I had with my group. Uh, we had a couple of challenges that were presented, and we also shared what can be done in order to address these challenges. So, the first one, the challenge that we faced was some of them have already been discussed also, like the job security and one of the main constraints that was discussed is the workload. One member in our team, he represented poor resources and inadequate resources, sometimes underpaid, and long working hours. That is, the workload is more than what they can have, and with the resources. And another, challenge, that is the gap that is there between the teachers and the students, the gaps that are created, which causes a lot of mental stress for the teachers, because they put in a lot of efforts, they don't get back, the outcome is not what they achieve. They are not able to set the targets. So you can say the solutions, that the possible solutions that we discussed, and I would like to share what we do in our own school in order to address these challenges. So, in my opinion, that wherever you go, different schools have different challenges, because they have a unique setup in every school across the world. So there may be less workload somewhere, that is teaching workload, but the rest of the workload is balanced with something else. So nowhere the workload is going to be very easy for you. And teachers always feel, yes, and it's a fact that teachers are underpaid in many places. The pay scale is very less, but frankly speaking, I honestly believe that the only mantra to success for the teachers is passion. So we need to, ignite that passion in teachers. And what we do in our school, because in our school, as I had already told in my previous discussion with you, that we have 10,000 plus students. And in the girls section, I have around 6,000 students with around 200, 250 teachers we have. And I was sharing this with my group, that when we started expanding and we moved kindergarten and grades 1 and 2 into a building, it was a residential building that was converted into a school. And exactly like how one of our member had expressed about resources, so very small classrooms. And it was not a, they went from a nice building where they had a classroom where 40 children could sit with a playground, into a building where they had, it was a flat converted into a classroom. So in the beginning, our teachers were not very happy to go there. But by and by, with our support, with the less resources that even we could provide them, what I could see was the teachers started creating their own resources. And there was a competition. So that kept, that is the senior teachers, when they started doing it, the junior teachers, we gave them a chance. That is, every month, the last Saturday, we have a teachers meeting day, where there is a parallel teachers meeting, where the teachers of a department, they are assigned to present, especially the new teachers. And if they are on ad hoc basis, those teachers are given a chance to present a model lesson. Now this becomes a little challenging for them, because they want to come up to the expectation of the rest of the group, but the teacher is never left alone. There is a coordinator, they form a support system, and then that causes a bond. All of them pitch in, help that teacher, with the teaching aids and the presentation and the points, and then they form a bond. And when the teacher presents well, it's not just that one teacher celebrates, it's the complete group that celebrates, that it's their success. So that way there is a bond formed, and then it keeps rolling. So this is one thing which I found to be very successful, that other teachers look forward to making their presentations. And of course we do have teachers who have a nervous breakdown because of this. They feel at the end of it, they cry and all that, but then they realize that they have learned something out of this. And I've seen this being very successful, because they are given certificates, and we attend these model lessons and we appreciate them. So this is one way where we can make the teachers that they are worth. And even the smallest teaching aid that they made, sometimes egg trays are converted into teaching aids, and old CDs which are being thrown away, I've seen them making that. Eggshells also, so many simple things which are lying around, being converted into very beautiful teaching aids. So when we see that, and then this is appreciated, and then there's a competition who makes the better teaching aid. It's spoken about in the staff meeting. So these are small things. And another activity which I had suggested, which we do in our school, is a mandatory outing with the teachers. So there is a day set aside for the block, where the teacher and the headmistress, they book a resort, or they go to the beach, or they go to a park where it's a very informal set up, where there is no vice principal, principal, or teacher. We all together take a one nation, then we serve, we dance, we sing, we have games. We do it inside the school also. We have sport activities where there are competitions, and then there are blocks that they go out and they have fun. So, and the teachers are allowed to bring their kids. So even they sometimes they have small children, so they are allowed to bring it, because we break down certain things, rules, that no, it's only the staff should attend. So these are some things I feel which can definitely motivate the teachers, and help them go on with, in spite of having a heavy workload. And also supporting each other. When we build a strong team, I have seen that when teachers fall sick and they go on leave, the others pitching in, because they know that when they go on leave. So this kind of an environment we have to set in. And I think I've gone a little more than the time limit given. So
That's
these
the
were the solutions that we had suggested. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think these were all pertinent. What do you call questions, and also issues facing education. So I just want to summarize the kind of discussions that we had, but also want to add to what we've already discussed. Now, as you can see, many of you spoke about autonomy with teachers. So you know that teachers have a job where they are supposed to lead young people into the future, but in many contexts and many what do you call scenarios, they themselves do not get an opportunity to lead with independence. So there's lack of autonomy, which I'm sure could cause concerns and challenges, right? So that is one area of concern. So if you see, there's the lack of flexibility and freedom sometimes stifles uh, the person's potential, as well as their well-being. um, Sometimes not getting enough support in terms of mental well-being, and even if there is no proper safeguards to ensure that they have a safe environment where they can disclose and engage. Sometimes no avenues to seek safe help. I'm sorry, to seek safe help. There could be issues around say the workload that most of you spoke about. So these are some of the pressing challenges, in addition to the expectations of parents as well as everybody else around you. So there's a lot of stress build up that happens. Now there's clear cut connection between how say for example the job of an educator and their mental well-being with their performance and effectiveness, and in turn that affecting student performance, student effectiveness, and student well-being, and that in turn adding back to the teacher's job, and that job contributing to whether that experience contributing to whether or not the teacher can be retained within the system or not. So if you see, there's a dearth of around more than 60 million teachers that we need to ensure that by 2030 we would meet basic literacy, what do you call, requirements, right? So there are a lot of these challenges. And if you see the World Health Organization, it talks about psychosocial risks of like, mental well-being not being good enough. So it not just affects the teacher's job, but also their ability to be agile and respond to the challenges that um, education is facing. So, given all of these, what do you call, challenges and limitations, and also like, making a note of what all of you folks suggested. So, I have prepared a very short list of what do you call, list of recommendations for institutions. So, as I share this with you, one thing that I want to share is within the education space, when it comes to, say, mental well-being, the bigger challenge that we face is that there is this whole idea of bootstraps mindset, in the sense, like, we in the education, we want teachers to take care of their own well-being. There are tips for how teachers should take care of themselves. I'm not going to get into that, because that is something that, like, we've gone through throughout the course of the forum. So in this one, we've discussed what are some of the things that uh, we can do as a group, as education leaders within the sector. So some of the things that we could do is, one is explore the possibility of driving in mental well-being support programs. So trying to identify support programs that exist, and perhaps either bringing them or, like, replicating them. So that would be one of them. Providing resources and capacity building of educators. Moreover, creating that safe environment for teachers to express themselves and work more autonomously, and addressing workload and administrative burdens by regular check-ins and more. Now, some of the things that are really, really effective is the idea of an integrated approach. So, integrating mental well-being right within your capacity building interventions that you do. So that is one of them. So the way you design it, the way you deliver it. So that could be one way of looking at it. Another thing is to have early intervention programs. So catching it before it becomes a burnout or a stress or a problem. Digital interventions, that they're very interesting. There are a lot of free apps, as well as, like, paid apps that schools can provide to to educators. I can give you a very simple example. Here at my workplace, like, one of the tools that I end up using is something that allows me to, like, meditate and put me to sleep if I'm not getting sleep. So things like those digital interventions can also be very effective, both on and off space work. Another thing is, like, whatever practices you have in mental well-being, to have some level of scientific evidence within your own workspace. Maybe conduct a survey. Like, at our organization, we do surveys like Gallup and others that actually help us understand the pulse of whether something is effective or not. Another thing where you have resource crunch, perhaps to have external support and partnerships, peer programs. You can even have art initiatives for teachers, or engagements. You have stuff like counseling that can be made available, if not within the school, perhaps through vouchers or through partnerships. That could be one of them. Picnics and excursions, as one of the, what do you call, representative shared, plus coaching and capacity building, like, as discussed earlier. So these are some of the things that um, we can engage in. But as education leaders, one of the things that I would request you is to explore the possibility of moving away from this bootstraps mindset, where the idea is, like, there's no enough, what do you call, thought and support in terms of collectively addressing this challenge of mental well-being and burnout that's affecting teachers and teaching. So with that, I draw close to this session, and thank you for being part of the initiative. And I just wanted to acknowledge Abhilasha Singh once again. She had put in a lot of effort, and like, we as much as she was excited to be a part of it, we are looking forward to having her soon. and wish her the very best as she goes through her personal situation. So thank you so much for joining in. Really, really appreciate. The next month's forum that is being constituted is on the theme of democratizing global education and learning. So that session would again go throughout the month, one activity per week. And my team will share with you you being here shows how much you care about a great week ahead, and I wish you all the best.